Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. St. Lucia promotes Vaxx Mas 2022. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Tuesday, 14th December 2021. Details when we return.
Conveniently located in the Grand Anne Shopping Centre, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grandans will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Welcome back. The arts community around the region has been in peril since the advent of COVID-19 and all its protocols which preclude it from getting a chance to be the center of socializing in these times of social distance as a requirement to prevent the spread of the highly virulent invisible virus. St. Lucia is planning to give them a reprieve for 2022 if there is no spike in cases and if the Omicron variant does not take root in St. Lucia. Here is Solage Alfred of HTS News Force with some details.
Yes, we are proceeding to have Carnival next year. We're still going to work out the details. And of course, at the end of the day, we hope, God willing, that we will not have any spike or any major concerns that would prevent us from having it.
Creative Industries Minister Dr. Ernest Hilaire says the decision to host a vaccinated Carnival 2022 is impelled by the arts community's continual clamor for a reprieve.
I think there's been a call by our creative sector that we really need to start opening up the creative space. We've seen it opening up, especially in the tourism sector. Construction is open up. Persons who work in offices, in the media, can find employment, can earn a living. But our people who work in the creative sector have really suffered. And whilst all other sectors have opened up, the creative sector is still suffering badly.
Artisans, designers, musicians, pageants, creatives, and event planners have all felt the full brunt of COVID-19 that has shuttered entertainment venues in compliance with the bans on mass crowd gatherings and other pandemic-related protocols.
The largest activity for our creative sector is really Carnival. It's the time when we get our musicians, songwriters, the Carnival bands, the pan enthusiasts. Carnival time is a time when they get the opportunity to earn the most and to earn a livelihood. And they've really suffered. We've not had Carnival for 2 years. We didn't have last year. We didn't have this year. And I think as we move forward, as the country continue to open, we have to find a way and the ways and the means to make sure that we have Carnival next year.
According to Dr. Hilaire, the jam, if you get the jab, was one born out of consultation with key stakeholders and the approval of health officials.
And we've spoken to all the stakeholders, and they are prepared to go. They're prepared to work with the medical authorities to put in place the right event arrangements that would allow us to have Carnival next year. They've already dubbed it Vaxx Mas. And the notion of Vaxx Mas is that for you to participate in the mass, you would have to be vaccinated. You would have to be COVID negative. So the plan is really for us to design and to establish a Carnival village that would be a sterile bubble that would allow persons who meet the requirements and to be able to participate. To take part in the carnival, to be in a band, you would have to be vaccinated.
Solange Alfred, HCS News Force.
Former Deputy Chief Elections Officer of GCOM in Guyana, Vishnu Prasad, has been elected to the position of Chief Elections Officer. Details by Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana.
With the backing of the chairman of the Elections Commission, former GCOM Deputy Chief Election Officer Vishnu Prasad was selected today as the new Chief Election Officer of the Guyana Elections Commission. Prasad edged out Jamaican election official Leslie Harrow for the top GCOM job. GCOM Chairman retired Justice Claudia Singh cast the deciding vote at today's meeting of the Commission, handing the job to Prasad, who spent 17 years at the Commission in a number of positions. The opposition-nominated members of the Commission were against the hiring of Prasad, pointing to his lack of experience and insufficient qualification for the post. But he received the full backing of the government-nominated members of the Elections Commission and the chairman. In a statement defending her decision to vote for Prasad to be given the job, the GCOM chairman, Justice Claudia Singh, said the decision came after listening to the commissioners and reading the endorsement and recommendation for Prasad by former GCOM chairman Dr. Steve Suraj-Bali. The GCOM chair said Mr. Prasad has acquired institutional knowledge, having been employed with GCOM for 17 years.
Head of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Welfare Association, Station Sergeant Brenton Smith, lost his job because of his refusal to comply with the government's COVID-19 vaccine mandate. He has, however, served a notice that he will challenge the decision. Police officers are among widespread cross-section of public sector workers deemed frontline employees and have been mandated to get vaccinated to continue in their jobs. Smith, who has been a police officer for 27 years, did not comply, and he was informed that he was deemed to have resigned from his job as a police officer. He told CMC News that he does not consider himself as having resigned. The letter informing him of the decision was hand-delivered by a sergeant of police. The letter was signed by the Chief Personnel Officer, Arlene Regisford Sam, and copied to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, the Commissioner of Police, the Director General Finance, the Accountant General and Director of Audit, and the Comptroller of Inland Revenue Department. As a result of Smith's failure to comply with the rule, the letter stated he had been absent from duty without leave since November 22nd. Smith said he was not surprised to get the letter, as lower-ranked officers received similar letters from Commissioner of Police Colin John on Tuesday. He said he has 7 days in which to appeal, and he intends to do so.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The Commonwealth of the Bahamas transitioning into a republic is not currently on the Philip Davis agenda, even though he is quite willing to let the people have their way should they require it.
Press Secretary Clint Watson said while there are other matters at the forefront of this government's schedule, if becoming a republic is something the Bahamian people ask for, they would oblige. The conversation on the Bahamas becoming a republic was reignited last month when Prime Minister Philip Davis visited Barbados to observe its transition into a republic.
This has been an ongoing discussion since 1973. The next phase of our independence. You've heard many members of you've heard a member of the cabinet speak about his push to see it happen personally as an individual. It is not a conversation we've heard a lot of in recent years until we saw what happened in Barbados, but it's obviously in the hands of the Bahamian people to decide. It's not on our agenda right now. However, the Bahamian people can change that if they determine this is what they want to do. It will have to be something that the Bahamian people request and put on the government's agenda. There is a process that's different from Barbados that we have here in the Bahamas as far as how that would happen. It's a little more cumbersome than what Barbados had to go through. Based on our constitution, it will require 2/3 of Parliament agreeing to it, and then it requires a referendum for the Bahamian people that has to be unanimously agreed to. So there is a process that's quite different from Barbados that we would have to go through for that to be considered. But that will have to be driven by the people, and it's not on the agenda at this time. And Prime Minister has made it clear that if the people press for it, then it could be considered. But he has no particular view on the matter.
A universal basic income program could improve the welfare system in Barbados. More in this Barbados Today news item.
That's the view of Democratic Labour Party St. James South candidate Ronnie Yearwood, who was speaking at a webinar which examined a universal basic income as a new model of the social development hosted by the James Tudor Institute of Politics last evening. Yearwood said that implementing the policy could end the welfare programs as we know it entirely. Last week, Special Envoy to the Prime Minister of Barbados on Investment and Financial Services, Avinash Prasad, indicated that a universal basic income was on the cards.
We can shift our welfare system to a UBI because it would be able to kind of lead to a disbandment, if you like, a lot of the government kind of hotspot, sporadic forms of welfare. So something happens, often you hear the government, and it's not necessarily only this government, there's an announcement of a fund, a fund to tackle this, a fund to do this, a fund to do that. And when you look at the big pictures of welfare, that becomes really ineffective. Or then you have thousands and hundreds of charities trying to deliver the same form of welfare, whether it's a hamper, but in a hamper, you're choosing what the individual should eat, or you're trying to direct what they should do. But then the amount of effort to get a hamper, when you could have actually given the person a basic income to make the choices themselves, is not worth it. When you start adding it up and realizing all the varied energies and groups and times and monies that we spend to deliver welfare in Barbados, if we simplify the system and provide a basic income for what we may decide.
Senior fellow at the Inter-American Dialogue, Rashid Griffith, who also participated in the webinar, said the universal basic income is an economic policy that can be accomplished, but he says that government would have to make it a priority.
Again, as we know, there are many other inefficiencies. So, we have, for example, like Barbados still has a film censorship board that's like $50K a year. We don't really need things like that. So if you just by having some simplification of different government accounts, and you can, when I run the numbers, conservatively, you can get to about $500 million just by doing some accounting differences to put towards UBI. So it is, not only is it doable, it's trivially doable, which makes it just a prioritization problem and not an economic problem. And I think when people realize there's a prioritization problem, not necessarily an economic problem, then I think it becomes a bit more palatable.
Noted Professor Justin Robinson, however, questioned whether a universal basic income could be successfully implemented in a small country like Barbados, given the current economic situation.
The second element, which Rashid dealt with to some extent, is the issue of affordability. How do we afford or finance this in middle-income countries like Barbados? I think the financing challenge is quite distinctive and different in a middle-income country. We have seen the multilateral system provide assistance to poor countries seeking to introduce some form of cash transfers. We may not qualify for that as a middle-income country. And then where we have had experiments in upper-income countries, these are wealthy countries that have fiscal surpluses, they have windfalls from energy and other areas, they have hard currencies, so they don't have the same fiscal constraint that we have. So how we finance this in a middle-income country, I think is something that we still very much need to address.
Conveniently located in the Grand Ann Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Granans will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.